Lisa LJ on my T here for Atheism TV, and I'm here with Thunderf00t on location in Hawaii. Thunderf00t, why are we in Hawaii?
Because about, was it 3-4 days ago now, there was the last transit of Venus for about 100 years. So we thought we'd come to Hawaii to see the transit of Venus on a volcano. So it turns out that all the Hawaiian Islands are giant volcanoes, and Hawaii is, or the Big Island is the biggest of them. So we went 2/3 of the way up to the Mauna Kea. And watch the transit of Venus, which you can see with your naked eye, but yeah, with the naked eye through the little mylar film things.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. It's pretty great stuff. I thought that was pretty amazing. I thought it was pretty amazing to get the opportunity to come to Hawaii. I've never been before. You've never been to Hawaii before either, right?
Never.
Yeah, pretty amazing things. I thought, obviously the volcano, the transit, but it also gave us the opportunity to see rainforest. We can hear the birds and the wildlife all around us.
And the bugs, the birds and the bugs.
The birds and the bugs.
They're never quiet.
I could have done without the bugs.
Right. I thought they were kind of therapeutic, although it did sound like the nasty stalker killer aliens from Pitch Black. At night it just sounds like Pitch Black.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this horror movie called Pitch Black? There's just the whooping sound the aliens make throughout the film.
Yeah, I think the first night here I heard pew 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 and
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the sound of the aliens from Pitch Black.
Yeah, my thought was video games, but tell me, you're one of the most well-known atheists on YouTube. You have a large series called Why Do People Laugh at Creationists that a lot of people really thoroughly enjoy. What is your background? Have you always been an atheist? Were you religious at any time?
Not really in the sense that I ever believed in it. I was probably up to about the age of 10 or something. I was aware that there was a cultural expectation for me to believe in God and such like, but did I ever believe in it? No, not really. And I kept a journal when I was a kid. It's fascinating reading. We'll go through that sometime. But there's certainly by the time I was 16, the entries are in the journal. God has been put firmly into the category of Jedi Knights and superstar destroyers and such like. You know, there were some interesting elements to it, but fundamentally it's just a story. Mm. And in the biblical case, not a particularly nice story. I mean, if you like, the theme of omnipotence has, Watchmen, for instance. Watchmen made a good story out of omnipotence, or near omnipotence. I think in the actual storybook he's omnipotent. Mm-hmm. That made an interesting story out of it. It's a good idea, it's a good theme for a story, it's just butchered in the Bible.
What motivated you to become active in terms of atheism, or what motivated you to want to make videos to promote atheism?
I never really started out to promote atheism. In fact, I don't really have any horse in that fight. What I really cared about was, ironically, it was people like Venom Fang X. I started looking around on YouTube, and there are these sort of creationists who have done seemingly well. And what they were saying was just categorically bollocks. There was this, it was instantly recognizable as bollocks, and so I knew this person who in the end went into not quite politics, but into administration and governance. A very smart person. And I sort of said, a political scientist sat them down in front of one of these videos and just said, what's wrong with us? And they couldn't tell me what was wrong with it. And thereafter the series, so to speak, was born. in that when you have a creationist like Venom Fang X telling you with steely eyes, the only water in the entire universe is on planet Earth, and that's what makes it absolutely unique. There is no conceivable way. It's like water is one of the most common molecules in the universe. I mean, yeah, beyond H2O is oxygen's common as well, double magic. Same number of protons and neutrons. Yeah. In fairly simple terms, you can explain why he is talking absolute crap.
And you had that knowledge and that ability to do that, and so did you feel an obligation then to put the information out there to refute the things that were being said that were false?
I mean, in the beginning, I didn't really have any plans whatsoever. This was just, I'm going to make some accurate media reasonably well, and I had no idea how things worked on the internet. And everything I've learned huge amounts about how the dynamics of these things work since. But at the time, it was just, I'm just going to put out the reasonable media, and hopefully people will find it and use it.
And what did you think people would use it for?
If you actually just view it as a battle of ideas, then if you don't have a dog in the fight, you're going to lose. So it was essentially counter disinformation.
You'll hear people who do have a religious background talk about science specifically and getting scientific information. People that were raised as young creationists, actually as I was, that get information later on, they did ultimately end up not only losing their faith, but also wanting to contribute to the conversation as well. Is that something that you ever thought would come to be because of the videos?
No. And this for a long time was one of my major concerns, is that if all you're doing is preaching to the choir, then you're not really changing anything. And it's very difficult to tell if that's what you're doing, and that YouTube is very much a forum where, the converted find preachers. There's this sort of confirmational bias thing going. And the thing that really threw light on that for me was when I went to the Reason Rally, which was one of the first sort of these gatherings that I went to. And what you just said was actually a surprisingly common story. And these people were really glad. Thank you. It was this that I suspected it was bollocks, but to have it laid out like this made it a no-brainer. And so deep down they might have had their suspicions, but this was, if you like, sort of turning the lights on and showing them that the whole thing was garbage from start to finish in no uncertain terms. And so it's the Reason Rally, and the thing is that a lot of these people have been so invested in this for so long, that I can fully understand why. There's this essentially anger that they've had years of their lives stolen from them, of the things that they could have achieved had they not been had this coincidence of birth where they were born into a culture where everyone was expected to believe this, and therefore they ended up believing it. The things they could have achieved if they had actually been given open access to the knowledge. I think there's a lot of anger that comes from it. Rightly so. I mean, it's you've essentially stolen part of someone's life.
Tell me, what are some things coming up, or what are some things that you see or would like to see in the movement? Maybe jumping off from the Reason Rally and what you saw there and what inspired you, what would you like to see sort of happen next, or what are you planning to be involved in that's sort of coming up or happening next?
Well, there are two things. What I can actually contribute is somewhat niche in that science will never be mainstream like comedy will be mainstream. So I think if you actually want to take this to the next level, then I'm not the guy to do it. You need probably comedians and politicians, and it's inevitable that if you actually expand the capture of the groups, the circle that defines the group, you're going to have to ditch the I don't use the word elitist, but it's this idea that we've all thought about it and you haven't, even if it's true or not, because not everyone's going to spend their time actually pouring through all of this garbage, and so if you actually want to broaden the scope, you're going to have to, I think, take a different tune. The one thing that really drives me up the wall about the secular community, though, is its prolific ability for infighting, and you don't have to know really anything about warfare to know that dividing your forces is bad, dividing the enemy forces is good. It's divide and conquer. And the secular community just loves these sort of fractive fights amongst itself, and it's like, well, if that's how you're going to spend your time, of course you're not going to go anywhere. You've got to prioritise your targets, and this seems to be something that the secular community seems very bad at.
Can you give an example of that?
Yes, but it would be fractive and divisive. So stay on target. It's set your goals, prioritise them according to how much impact you think they're going to have in, I don't know, making the country more secular, more thoughtful, more well informed, and concentrate your resources on them. This is basic strategy. Read pattern. And why scare the shit out of the Germans?
So this is war.
The dynamics are exactly the same. It's basically resources, application of resources, and change of social dynamics. It's if you have no resources, can you change anyone's mind? If you have, if you actually apply a group of people cohesively, are they going to achieve more than the same group of people not acting cohesively? I mean, the dynamics are exactly the same as warfare. And indeed, you don't have to look at churches. If all those people who actually believed in religion just were going around on their own, they would be a fraction of the hazard that they are if they work as cohesive units, as lobby groups, as church, Catholic Church. I mean, if the Catholic Church was just 1 billion people doing their own thing, no problem. If you got it now that, one guy can actually orchestrate the whole thing, condoms in an AIDS epidemic, bad idea. The ability to do damage scales disproportionately when you get people acting in cohesive groups, or the churches, I hope to. You need to counter. You do need cohesive groups in the secular community, something we don't do very well.
So I can understand then why something like the Reason Rally was an inspiring event, because it did bring us together in a cohesive group, really, for a lot of people for the first time, and in larger numbers than I think we've really seen before. And we've heard the analogy of herding cats before, and it seemed like in that moment that actually we maybe could herd some cats.
It is one of the things that kind of bugged me. For all this herding cats, I want to have my own ideas, yada, yada, yada. Start with this one as the basic idea that cohesive groups function better than uncohesive ones. Once you've mastered that, then you can work on to, how much you want to haggle over these minutiae, like, are you an atheist or an agnostic, and what does that mean?
What do you think of programs like AtheismTV that do try to take stories from all over the world that deal with the impact of religion in society and try to bring that information to YouTube viewers. Do you feel like that's
goal worth supporting?
A laudable goal worth supporting.
No.
Wonderful. Well, then we will try to keep up the good work at Atheism TV of bringing that information and that news to the community, and I appreciate very much you speaking with me today.
No problem.